Hello everybody, this is Logan Shelley and I'm here to show you all how my tool for these buildings works in Unreal Engine. So first of all, you need to make sure that you have this Houdini tab up at the top left, and if you don't have that, then that means that you don't have the plugin installed in the right spot. This is my plugin here, and if you have Houdini installed in your computer, then you probably have this. You gotta locate it in the program files over here, and just this Houdini engine folder is all you need to drag and drop into your plugins folder in your Epic Games program files. If you don't have the correct version on the latest Houdini version and 5.6, then that's okay, I can get it to you. I'll share a box link when I share this tutorial. You'll then also want to go to Edit, Plugins, search for Houdini, and make sure Houdini engine is turned on. So when you have all that and you restarted it and you have Houdini engine all set up and ready to go, you can create a session. I'm going to restart this session. Do that anytime you have any troubles, and it will fix itself. Then you're going to go ahead and drag and drop the HIPNC file directly into the content drawer, just like this. And once that's uploaded, get this cool thing and drag it into the viewport. Now it's going to take a second to think about it and load, because these assets are rather heavy. I would suggest saving often. I've crashed it quite a couple of times. Alright, now that that's loaded in, you see our asset has this really cool little Houdini logo going on, and you'll see in the details panel on our right over here that we have a whole bunch of information. And most importantly, in green it says Houdini engine session is ready. If that is red or says something scary at you, just try to restart your session. Here, some tick boxes are, these are nice to know about. If you uncheck these, then it won't load when you change something, but only load once you hit the rebuild button up here. That can be handy, but we're going to leave it on for now. Down here we have the Houdini parameters. These are all the boxes and stuff that I created for you in my HDA. We're going to hit the preview checkbox so things load up a little bit faster as we start fleshing this out. Our wall dimensions is 2 by 2. We'll leave the floors at 1 for now. We'll give the roof a tiny bit of height. The bounding boxes you don't really have to worry about, just set it to 10, and if some weird clipping ever happens, then you could set it to like 12 or something, but that's probably not going to happen. Floor thickness 0.1 is fine, and we'll get to these last 4 parameters later on. Next up is the Houdini Inputs. There are 6 of them, and essentially we just plug in some geometry here, and then the HDA will do all the work in putting the assets where they need to go. So we'll go ahead and go to Anne's very cool walls she created over in Objects. The first input is supposed to be like a door. Just gotta think about that for a second. And then the next one is like the basic wall, and then the next one is like a window. Good. Okay, then input number 4 is the curve input. So in this little section at the top, there's a drop down. It says geometry input right now. We want to change it to curve input. And then we want to hit the box to make it closed. Very important. Now you can see that something has appeared next to our logo here. We have this spline, which is so nice. We can drag this out, and if I hold down Alt and then drag this arrow out, I will create another node on the spline, which is very cool, and that makes it extremely easy to start building out a floor plan, just like that. Yeah. Nothing's going to pop up yet until we have everything inputs. All the inputs have something in them. For input number 5, just put a sphere in there. You can generate any kind of geometry you want for this, but a good old sphere will do just fine. Oh, look, it's already going. Well, that's because the preview doesn't require this last one, which is a pillar. Okay. So, you can see that we have something already pretty cool. And you can see that the walls are white, the corners are red, and the roof is blue. If you go to the top of this panel here, oh, it's not actually here. Oh no, here it is. Okay. This is the parent, and then this is the child. If you go to the child, this is kind of like a baked mesh, I think. Not entirely sure how it works, but you can see that it has all the materials, which is awesome. So we'll just go ahead and plug in one of these for that guy, and we can put in the pipe texture for that roof, and we could put in the other pipe texture for the corners, just to show you an example. We'll do that again later. But if you change things, shoop, then it will revert back to what it was before. So don't change the material until you're satisfied with the shape of things, and you want to bake it out anyway. So we can make a pretty complicated shape. Bigger and bigger is no problem whatsoever, and we can do all kinds of funky stuff. It does get a little bit weird in the corners, unfortunately, but you can always work around it. Okay, now then, with all these inputs in, we can go ahead and uncheck the preview because we like this shape. Once things have loaded once, then it starts to load up a lot quicker, so do not worry. Alright, let's go ahead and give it some more floors. Maybe like 5 floors would be cool. You can see that it randomly places the windows and the walls. You can change that with the seed, no problem. The roof height just affects this top little section here. If I have the time to, I want to make different kinds of roof types that can be generated, but for now this is what you get. Okay, and now let's start to generate the inside. This is also a checkbox that makes the demolition happen, the decay. I'll just allow it to load for a second. This demolition, these things are only visible when we can see into the inside, so it's the same checkbox. I just made them one and the same. Okay, so let's talk about, well, you know what, first of all, we'll go back to preview, make things easy. In the preview, we can see this sphere hanging out. If you hit this little funny button with the cube with the 3 points going out, you get this transform offset menu. Incredibly important. We'll be using this tons and tons. So we'll go to the scale, we'll lock the scale so it's all uniformly scaling together. I made it a little bit too big here. Let's go 20 on the scale. It should be good. Okay, now we're gonna see where the transform takes us. Maybe move it other way towards the center. Then we'll take it down a little bit. Too much. Yeah, something like that. Okay. Now we can get to the fun stuff over here. Decay randomness will start to morph our little ball. I'm going to give some kind of value to the decay smoothness instead of just 0. Now, as you can see, as the randomness increases, we get a more and more bizarre shape, and you can get pretty bizarre. You can put in whatever number you want and get whatever kind of crazy shape you'd care to have. 200 was probably a little bit too much, but you know, it's good to stress test things every once in a while, right? Alright, definitively 200 was a little bit too much, so we'll go back to 15. Now we got this crazy shape. Smoothness is just like the wavelength, I would say, between the noise. So like the shorter this number, the shorter the wavelength, the crazier and more jagged edges you get. But I did run a voxel on the node, so there's no inside out geometry, which is nice. Okay, we'll just see what happens with that. So this funny shape, of course, is our Boolean, and it's going to destroy part of our building wherever it intersects. Let's go ahead and uncheck the preview, see what we got. Whoa-wee, looky there. Of course, some stuff is floating, so you might not want that to happen, so it might be a little bit too random. But of course, if you just moved the geometry up, moving the geometry unfortunately changes the randomness. There's still that part floating, and that whole section. But you can see really quickly we get a really interesting result, which is fun. Go let that load for a second again. Well, I know that piece is floating, but you know, we'll call it good for now. Okay. The next point of interest to share are these floors here. If we go back to our parameters, decay amount is just saying how much the floor will droop. We're gonna give a value to decay area real quick as well. Now we can see that the floor is starting to go down. Do a little bit more. We can get something pretty down there if we wanted. A reserved value is probably for the best. The decay area, this is a soft transform, and the decay area is just controlling more and more of the floor to go down like around it. See, like the floor over here is dropping down just a tiny bit, but if we increase the decay area, then the area of effect is bigger. Yeah, and of course all of this is ready to be collided with. So if you were to play, where did it just put me? Oh, I'm outside the skybox. Why in the world am I over here? Because I hadn't play tested this before. Oops. Anyways, you can collide with all of this geometry, which is pretty sweet. At some point we'll add doors, or maybe just nature will make a door for you just like that. That'll be fun. Okay, so once you're happy with your shape with its flying pieces, then you can go ahead and hit bake, and you'll get this static mesh component like this, and you can select whatever materials you want for each part of it. Assign the materials, world position, materials will obviously work best. Yeah, thank you. Let me know if you have any questions.